Hi everyone! Welcome to tutorial number 2, Writing Effective Introductions. Today I'm going to be talking just in general about writing effective introductions for personal experience essays. I know that the essay you're working on is not necessarily wholly personal experience, though perhaps you're going to be trying to work some personal experience in. Nevertheless, the points I'm about to make and the things I'm going to show you are relevant to any kind of essay that you're working on, regardless of the type. So, first off, what we'll do in this little tutorial, we're going to read and evaluate some sample introductory paragraphs. We're going to discuss some reader expectations for introductions. And then you're going to be able to write your own introductory paragraph, experimenting with strategies to engage readers and establish direction. Well, let's just think about a few introductory paragraphs. Here's one where the writer's attempting to write on credit cards. Obviously, you can read the paragraph for yourself, so I'm going to pause and let you do that. Yes, I realize you are already keeling over in boredom, aren't you? Look at all of this. In this essay, I will first discuss how much of a problem they could be. I will provide solutions. I will show. I will tell. Oh my goodness, we don't even want to read the essay because there are too many announcements of intent and not really a point to prove that is interesting, engaging, original, and worthwhile for us to spend our time on. Take a look at this next one. I'm with you. This introductory paragraph gives me the heebie-jeebies. I absolutely cannot stand this thing that the writer undercuts his own authority or her own authority from the get-go. I don't know a lot about. It seems to me. I think I remember. Even though I'm no authority, I'll bet it's even worse. I think. Bound to have. That just has lost me already. If the writer doesn't know, the writer should find out or choose a different topic. Notice also the vague language here that just makes this really uninteresting to read. This sentence, I think I remember reading about a month ago about how some pitcher signed a contract. I want to say, did you read anything or not? Who is this person? And then another thing that's troubling me is we've been talking about baseball up here, and then we get down to this sentence. I'll bet it's even worse for football and baseball. I'm confused. We were already talking about baseball. Maybe the writer meant basketball, but that's not what the writer said. So already I'm disengaged in this introductory paragraph. I'm not all that into reading anymore because I don't think this writer cares enough to do a good job with the introduction. One more and then we'll move on. Yes, I agree with you. It's already more interesting from the opening line. It's somebody's problem, the writer's engaged, the writer cares about the writing, and since the writer cares, I'm willing to care, and I'll bet you're willing to care too. Now the that you've looked at a few of those introductory paragraphs, let's think about this. What we want out of an introduction, in the first place, as readers, we want to care. And in addition, we want the writer to care. The writer communicates an investment by providing us some interesting detail, a hook to pull us in, and some kind of pacing or development that's going to lead up to that thesis statement we've already talked about. The thesis statement is the thing that gives us as readers a reason to care ourselves. It's a so what statement, and you may be asking, well, does it have to be at the end of the introductory paragraph? Yeah, we need at least a hint of a thesis. Otherwise, as a writer, you're tempted to lose your way. And as a reader, we definitely don't know what you have in mind if you don't have it in mind yourself. Okay, so we've already talked a little about thesis statements, and probably we don't have to review much. We remember it has to establish a worthwhile point, expresses an opinion, not just a fact, and provides an umbrella for everything in the essay. We could think about some things that are not thesis statements. My worst job ever, or my version of the American dream, is merely a topic, not a statement at all. A statement like many students work full-time is merely a fact. There's nothing to prove. Many students have worked full-time since there were students. And then worst of all are these announcements. Something that establishes no clear claim, it just makes some brazen announcement for the reader, and we don't need the redundancy. If I wrote, I'm going to tell you about the worst job I've ever had, well, I don't need to tell you I'm going to tell you. I need to just start telling you and make a claim about why it's so bad. Again, readers usually expect that thesis as the last sentence in the introduction. Some types of essays, the thesis can be delayed, but not in the one we're working on right now. Can the thesis be implied? Yes, technically it can be implied if you're a very good writer, but keep in mind, you risk losing your reader, and if you do, all downhill from there. So now, what about the hook? Sometimes we call this grabbing the reader by the throat. There are several ways to go about hooking a reader. You could connect a couple things that don't belong, some kind of paradox or puzzling phenomenon. Take a look at this example on Stein on writing. Writers are troublemakers. A psychotherapist tries to relieve stress, strain, and pressure. Writers are not psychotherapists. Their job is to give readers stress and strain. Well, it's kind of nice. It defies our expectations and creates a paradox. Not too lengthy, but attention-grabbing. You could also make the readers curious in your hook. Make them wonder who, what, when, where, why. You could, if you had an interesting little anecdote, by all means you could start with it. Check out this lead from Robinson's God as an Iron. I smelled her before I saw her. Well, there's all kinds of questions that an introductory line like that raises in our mind. You could add a visual element. Here's an example about Karl Gardolf trying to create a middle picture that's going to lead up to a thesis. Karl Gardolf, his head held high as if he had done nothing wrong, was sentenced in Superior Court to 18 months in jail this morning for stealing a Bible. Very much making us curious with this visual imagery. And notice also, again, we have an element of paradox. We could have some kind of hint at dramatic tension to come. Here's an example from Cress's phone repairs that make us wonder what will happen next. When the phone rang, I seized it with desperate relief. I tried not to let Carolyn see. From the way her face froze and the way she turned her back away from me and toward the sink full of dirty dishes, I knew I had failed. Well, some things that are not really very good hooks include things like trite definitions. In college, don't ever use the hook according to Webster's Dictionary, according to dictionary.com. It's just too overused and not effective at all at capturing attention of the readers. In fact, it puts readers to sleep. I know it does me. Also, avoid starting with cliches. Likewise, don't make a statement of the obvious. And never begin your essay with an apology. Something like, even though I'm young, or this is just my opinion. Don't undercut yourself in that way. And never in a million years should you write the sentence, everyone has his or her own opinion. We know that sentence should not even belong in the English language, in my opinion. Okay. Here are the sources I've been using to present these ideas to you. And stay tuned for the next tutorial on organizing your points.